Hi, it's Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and we are going to dive into data integration today. And we have a special guest, Dan Potter, who's the VP of Product Management at Attunity. Dan, thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here, Doug.
Thank you. We have seen a pretty amazing evolution of data integration over the past 15 years. And unique to you, you actually were at Attunity about 15 years ago or so, and went away for 12 years, and now you're back again in a similar role. What have you seen, as we've moved from ETL to change data capture? What was most striking as you've come back to the fold and seen the evolution?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. My own personal journey. When I left Attunity, we had just released a product. Interesting, it was called Attunity Streams, and it was all about creating data streams from transactional systems. And at that time, in the BI and analytics world, it was all around business activity monitoring. How do we get better insights faster that are important to the business? So we introduced the product. I went off for 12 years and did some analytics and real-time analytics work, which is the real-time analytics and data. Real-time data have always been a passion of mine. When I came back to Attunity, one of the reasons I came back to Attunity is that this whole notion of real-time streaming data, it's finally starting to be embraced in a big way in the industry. New technologies like Kafka are really enabling these next generation kinds of data infrastructures to support it. In the application use, real-time analytics, real-time visualization, real-time decisioning, real-time machine learning, artificial intelligence, it's all powered by fresh data. And the faster that you can get relevant data into these processing engines, the more responsive the business can be. And that's what's so exciting.
Well, and that really is the kind of ultimate goal of all this, right? Real-time data, real-time decision making, and really starting to leverage automation as well to take advantage of that speed at processing. So what technological developments have really kind of allowed folks like Attunity to take advantage of that?
So it's all being driven by what we call modern analytics. So modern analytics are this real-time visualization and machine learning and AI and the next generation style of analytics that enable this more intelligent, more powerful decisioning. In order to get to there, the whole data integration and data management has changed. And it's changed, again, more real-time. So streaming infrastructures, data lakes have had a huge impact. People are now bringing more information faster. It used to be about these monolithic data warehouses, and they're not going away, but they're being augmented by data lakes, bringing more information faster, doing the transformation on the fly, so decoupling the storage from the analytic processing, all in support of this next generation modern analytics. So to support that, the data integration world is needed to move, and it needed to move from a brittle, ETL-oriented style to a much more what we call change data capture. As information is changing in these core transactional systems or in sensor devices and other things, let's move those changes in real time into the data lake. Let's process those when they're needed, as it's needed, so we can provide the insight when it's needed to the business. More and more of those insights are real time. And those real-time requirements require and are driving this need for real-time data.
So I know we wrote an article a few years back called that was titled, "Is ETL Dead?"
Yep.
And we got a very hostile reaction from a lot of folks who are clinging to their homegrown systems and things that they've used for forever in the ETL space. Tell me a little bit about what the business case is as you bring that to the table and you get into the sales meetings and you really try to present this next generation of thinking.
Yeah. See, I don't think ETL is dead, just like the data warehouse is not dead. You've got transactional systems like mainframes and other things that have been around for decades. They're not going away. But what's happening is these systems are being augmented by other technologies that are very specific to these modern analytics use cases. So our view of the world is that real-time data integration is an absolute requirement for modern analytics. It means that we can help augment an ETL system, so we can push fast data through those existing ETL processes into data warehouses if required, and it is. We can push it directly into streaming infrastructures if real-time visualization or analytics is required, and it is. And we can push it into data lakes and clouds for these new analytics applications or operational applications that are being built on cloud technologies, and they are. So it's really not so much about displacing things that you currently have, it's about trying to make the most of the existing infrastructure that you have and really augment and extend that with this next generation technology.
And so what about some of the larger, buzzword macro drivers like big data, for instance, or 5G, IoT, things like that? Where are they starting to impact, the enterprise, and how is that being received and dealt with at the data level?
So things like IoT and industrial IoT, all these sensors, all these devices, all this data, all these instrumented devices are generating more data than organizations have typically had to deal with a data warehouse. So people are looking at taking all of that real-time data from the operations and moving it into lower cost, higher volume, greater elastic infrastructures like the cloud. So IoT data is being moved into the cloud more and more because it's an easier way to store and process that. And you can spin up processes as you need them, and the use cases are growing every day. People don't necessarily know exactly what they're going to do with all this IoT data, but what they do know is that there's value in it. I need to capture this value. I need to apply different processes. I need to put it in different data stores for those different analytic processes. And I need to surround this IoT data with business context data. It's great to know that my pipeline pressure is too high, or this field's yield is too low, and there's, the fracking operation is gone afoul, but I need to have a business context to make that decision. So it's great to have the operational IoT data, but I need to understand supply, commitments, costs. All of those things go hand in hand, and that's where clouds and data lakes kind of fit. Is that I need to bring in the IoT data, which is high volume. I need to bring in the business transactional data, which is high value, and I need to be able to bring those two things together to make the real impactful business decisions.
Now, are there any verticals? I mean, obviously, they're the traditional, early adopter verticals, financial services, and maybe healthcare. What other verticals might people not necessarily think right off the top that are starting to take advantage of this new thinking?
Well, those two are big. Manufacturing is a big one, and obviously IoT is driving a lot of that. One of our larger customers, automobile manufacturer, they've got a strategy around connected cars. And the volume of data coming from connected cars, it's huge. And for them, it's tying in the car information. And one of the examples is that, if they notice from the car data that the braking systems are failing at a rate faster than they had anticipated, that has all kinds of implications to them, from warranty, dealer, all kinds of things. But to be able to take that insight and make it operational, I need to bring in warranty and claim information, dealer information, service information. I want to be able to impact the manufacturing line to be able to fix this problem. So you're bringing together all kinds of information, and those are the kinds of use cases that you see in industries like manufacturing a lot.
So with regard to bringing together a team within that type of an organization, who do you guys engage with? Who is really kind of assigned these days to deal with taking it to the next level and really trying to bring this new modern thinking to bear?
So it's always the business side is always driving it, because they're saying, I need these kinds of insights. In the case of the manufacturing example, their strategic decision was that we want to be an auto manufacturer. We also want to be in the data and mobility space, because we have all of this data and we want to start to monetize that. So it's being driven by the business, but the technology decisions are being driven by IT and the architecture teams to figure out, hey, how do I solve that? How do I build this real-time infrastructure to be able to support this next generation analytics? So it's really a marriage of the two, and that's when it works best. If it's not a build it and hope the business will come strategy, if it's the business has a vision, and we as an IT team are going to build this infrastructure to support that vision, that's when you start to see the real value and the real demonstrable results.
Now, is that an easy is that an easy thing politically, internally, to a larger organization to kind of come together around, or do you find things that hold folks back with regard to making a leap like that, a generational leap?
Yeah, it depends on the organization. Usually it's the cultural issues that are the biggest barriers to any kind of transformation like this.
Like becoming a data company?
Like becoming a
an
data,
auto
like
manufacturer?
becoming, absolutely, absolutely. And while, and when the business has this vision, they don't always know, what the data is going to tell them and how the business is going to move based on that data. So there's a lot of cultural things that need to change in order to do this successfully. But I would say that it's less about technology barriers and it's more about driving these new business insights and driving the business to become more information and data centric, as opposed to how do I solve this new data lake technology solution.
So you guys were playing certainly at the high end of the enterprise adoption curve, right?
Yep.
The larger organizations and so forth. But where are we right now, really, with regard to, bringing more modern data integration, data management technologies to small, medium-sized companies?
Well, even large companies. I'd say we're very, very early.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting. Gartner had an interesting research report about a year ago, and they found that about 90% of the data lake initiatives have failed. And it's not because of lack of investment or lack of energies around it. There's some real barriers to making it successful. Some of those barriers are the skill set. Some of it is the cultural issue. Some of it is the fact that it was the early adopters build it and hope that the business will utilize it.
Yeah. That's
not always a recipe for success.
Right.
So we're still very, very early on. I think a lot of the larger organizations are driving some of the more innovative uses of the technology, but I think it's going to become mid-market very quickly. And the big change here is the cloud. The cloud is making it very easy for organizations of any size to be able to take advantage of this next generation approaches. It's very easy to dump your data into a cloud data lake. It's very easy to spin up the processes that you need to build analytics-ready data. Very sophisticated kinds of engines being applied to all kinds of data very, very quickly. So I think the game is going to change quickly. And I think small and mid-sized organizations will be able to do some very, very interesting things that were in the past only in the domain of those large organizations that had big budgets.
So as you have started to think about, you obviously have a roadmap that you think about for Attunity, and maybe you've already gotten a technology now that is still so early in the adoption curve that people haven't really come to it yet. But how do you think about the Attunity solution and kind of where you're headed, and what are your more advanced customers thinking about? What are you thinking about internally, without obviously giving away any state secrets?
Yeah, no, the three big themes for us, cloud, data lake, and streaming. Those are the areas where all of the energy and interest are from our large organization clients. It's where we're making the investments from an R&D perspective. People are moving more and more data to the cloud. They're looking to build out data lakes of heterogeneous information and apply those next generation analytic engines on top of. Streaming infrastructures is very much the next big wave. So as you see technologies like Kafka and Kinesis and Amazon Event Hubs, they're starting to be really embraced in a way that message-oriented middleware has been around for 30 years. And I've been involved with it deeply when it moved away from being a proprietary to a Java and JMS, and the adoption curve went up. With Kafka, the adoption curve is way higher now, and you're starting to see organizations really embrace the notion of real-time data and real-time data feeds. So those three things, cloud, data lake, and streaming, are the areas that on our roadmap, that's where we're investing behind. And part of the obstacles that we're trying to help organizations overcome is not just landing data into those environments, but making it production ready and analytic ready, because those have been the barriers. It's easy to throw data into a data lake. It's hard to provide a materialized view and an analytics-specific view. You know, how do I take all these data and all the changes that are happening to the data and make it production ready? That's the first step. And then the second step is I've got 3 different business teams that want to have different slices of this data and want to analyze it in different ways. I may want to use, you know, a Redshift data warehouse for the sales and marketing team. I may want to have my data scientists work directly against that data in a different tool. And I may want to take this data and I may want to process it in a graph database. Being able to support those different analytic workloads all from that same materialized view, that's, you know, this end-to-end pipeline from raw data to analytics-ready data. That's what we're solving, and that's really helping to overcome the disconnect.
Well, this has been incredibly helpful. It is certainly a topic we've been covering for some time at Solutions Review. We would encourage you all to visit Solutions Review on our data integration site and see all the things that we're talking about there. We've written a lot of articles about data lakes and real-time integration. We would also encourage you to go to Dan's Attunity.com site and check out everything that they're bringing to the table. They've been at the forefront of data integration for some time now, and we're very familiar with them because they're right down the street here in the Boston area. They're a company you should check out with regard to taking your data integration solutions to the next level. Dan, thanks very much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug. Pleasure.